The Rap Roundtable.
Yes, sir. The Rap Roundtable is back on deck. Our usual customary Monday energy. Shout out Dre7580 asking how are we late and y'all parting from home. Just because we in the crib don't mean that life isn't constant. Like I'm convinced now that people think that we just get out of bed, computer. Like we don't have lives here before we start the party. But nevertheless,
how do you know we've been home all day?
right?
How do you know we didn't just come in through the door?
In a lot of
running in, racing to try to get on the air for y'all.
Dre, as a podcaster, let me let you know, it's harder to podcast on time from the crib than it is from the studio.
On the set, bro.
Talk about it.
On the set. In a lot of cases, guys are literally getting home from work and then stumbling to the computer, falling into the sofa, trying to get their connections right, make sure that they're on the right Wi-Fi, because you got the regular Wi-Fi, the 5G Wi-Fi. You got to make sure you're on the right one so you get the proper stream energy. You know what I mean? You got to have a quick little pre-show powwow before we actually get on the air so we don't sound like jabronis when we're on the air. You know what I mean? So these things have to happen. But nevertheless,
the family got to step in. You know what I mean? Right before you go on.
Regular
of course,
occurrence.
the random honey-do before you go live. You know what I mean? Shit like that. But anyway, we are here. Jarv alongside Cicero Rap Snob, alongside Macito. No Dini. He's not feeling well. Shout out to Dini. But you have the Rap Roundtable here Monday Night Raw. No one does the Monday Night Lives quite like the Rap Roundtable.
You know what it is.
Again, the market is hectic. It's a lot of traffic on these pod streets, and we just carved out our little niche right here on Mondays. And we've noticed that y'all prefer the Monday shows more than anything else. Y'all love Monday Night Raw. You know what I mean? So I appreciate y'all for that. But we're not here for the pleasantries. We don't care how your weekends were. Everyone's still alive. Y'all made it through, and I'm thankful for that.
I had a great weekend, man. I was ready to talk about it. All right, go ahead.
Whatever. You know what I mean?
But real quick, shouts to Jizza, 30 years of Liquid Swords. I went out to the show on Saturday night. It was a nice show. It was a good show. You know what I mean? I had to celebrate.
A little side mission sin, all right.
Of course. You know what I mean? Dini's not here, so somebody got to have the side mission.
Sin didn't even tell us. He just went to the show, all quiet and shit. We didn't even look into it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I know y'all. Y'all was going
to. You're right. You're right.
I was waiting to see where that was going to go. You're right, see.
You're right. I'm not even going to argue. We'd have probably laughed at you for going. So, you know what I mean? Anyway.
Hey, man, Liquid Swords is a super classic.
We had a whole different itinerary for today, but there might be some side quests in the middle of the week. I'll figure that out. But then this news came across our desk. A clip posted by Ahmed, one of the most popular follows on Twitter. So it went so viral that he had to take it down. I don't know if it got if it was stricken down, or he got the call from someone that says, "Hey, gang, this ain't going how it's supposed to go. Can you please take it down?" But the clip essentially, not even essentially, the crux of the clip was BigXThePlug. And I hate that, we talk about Big X a lot on the pod, but this is the first time he's made it to a thumbnail. And I hate that he's made it to a thumbnail under negative pretenses, but it is what it is. We got to talk about it. In the clip that was taken down, he says, whatever I want to do, whatever I want to be the best at, I feel like I'm not just hip hop artist. I'm just an artist. I repeat, whatever I do, I want to be the best at it. I feel like I'm not just a hip hop artist. I'm just an artist. Of course, in this time frame,
in this climate,
his team didn't really understand what was going on. That should have never made it it should have never made it beyond the cutting room floor. That should have been cut from the interview, because everyone is up in arms. People are highly upset. They're questioning his hip hop status. Is he hip hop? Is he a vulture? What the hell is going on with BigXThePlug? Sincere Rap Snob, these topics. This is your wheelhouse. I got some fears about what you might say. I'm concerned, but nevertheless, we got to hear from Sincere.
Listen, we're live. We're live. We can't cut nothing here, man.
You're right.
I hate this, bro. Like every single time that there's a rapper that does this, I hate it. Every single time, because it's like, what does that even mean? Does that mean that because you are a hip hop artist, you can't be an artist, a general artist. Like nobody else says that in at least to my knowledge. I don't really see rock people saying that. I don't see, country people saying that. I don't see anybody else saying that. You know what I mean? It's just it's always a rapper that feels like it. And to a certain extent, I get it. You feel like you're getting pigeonholed into the whole rap artist, hip hop artist thing, and it's 2025, and you want to be you want to be super lit. You want to be like Orca Big, out of here, billboards in Times Square. You want to have your songs with Morgan Wallen and with Post Malone, who he's actually working with. You know what I mean? So I see what's going on, but like, stop doing this, y'all, because it's minimizing hip hop in the process, and that's the shit that I hate about it. It's like, I understand your aspirations, I understand that like you want to expand your horizons, but it's like you don't want to frame it in a way where it's like, I don't just want to be like this lowly little hip hop artist over here in this niche, because we've had 50 years of this shit. Like, I'm like, why would you talk about your own culture and your own genre that way? You know what I mean? Why would you frame it that way? Like, we've had 50 years of this shit, $billion, industry, countless legendary artists, legends that we've had in the game, selling out arenas, selling out stadiums, and you want to minimize it, by just being like, I don't really want to just be, a hip hop artist. And here's the thing, like, he might not have actually meant it that way, but that's always how it comes off every single time. There's not a single time where somebody says that and the general public doesn't take it that way, because that's what it is. That's what it feels like every single time. It reminds me, this might be a deep cut, but I remember growing up, this might be like not cool to say in big 2025, but like growing up, one of my favorite shows was The Cosby Show. And I remember this one episode where Theo what was at some company get together or something, and he caught the eye or caught the ear of one of the businessmen at the company, because they wanted to make a slogan for the company that says, "We're not just soup anymore." It was this old soup company that was doing a lot more things now, and then they were expanding, and they were like, "We're not just soup anymore." And Theo was like, "You shouldn't do that. You should say we are still soup, because soup is great for everybody. It's economical. It feeds you. It nourishes you. Like, people love soup." And that, every time that I see something like this, I always think back to that, because it's like, the way you frame things is so important, and you framing it as like, nah, I want to be bigger or better than just hip hop. It's unfortunate, man. Like, at the end of the day, hip hop is where you got your start from. Hip hop is what opened the doors for you. And hip hop, you should be proud to be hip hop. If you want to expand your sounds, cool. But you should always be proud of your hip hop roots, and stop framing it in a way where hip hop is something to be left behind.
My goodness. Sincere. Off the podium. Microphone flaming. Well said from the rap snob. Macito. You live a very hectic life. You're like Joel Santana in 2002, if you remember that ball. Lives a hell of a life. We know you got a lot going on. So, like, have you been able to hear what Big X or read what Big X had to say? And what are your thoughts?
I have, y'all, and I find it very interesting. Sin, you might like this one. I remember I was feeling conflicted about this ball. You know what I'm saying? But for me, y'all, and for y'all chat, salute to all of y'all. I'm feeling a little like Beanie. You know what I mean? I feel like I need to offer some balance to this perspective, because everything Sin is saying is correct. Let's start there. And also it feels nasty to us as a culture, because it goes into that devaluation of what we do. It goes into like just saying it's the lowest common denominator. It feels real nasty if you've been following the culture, if you've been part of the culture, if you in it, right? We know where this line, this train of thought derives from. We know, the type of people who usually say this, and that's what makes this a little bit difficult, right? Because we're used to our white artists doing this, right? We're used to the Kid Rocks, the Post Malones, you know what I mean? We're used to these guys. Even they were calling Jelly Roll a rapper at first when he first came out. You feel what I'm saying? So we used to being able to kind of easily decipher this because it's usually a white guy. White guy, culture vulture, always going back to, to their roots, right? So it's usually a much easier conversation because of, the type of person who usually says this. But when it comes to Big X the Plug, it's like I wanna be upset, but also I kind of understand, right? Because it feels like in this last year and a half, it's been like culture wars. It's been, whether it's, Caucasian creators, like we'll talk about later, whether it's, our own, artists who we thought were hip hop, you know what I mean? Shout out to the OVO gang. We've had this conversation for a while, and it seems like us as a culture, we've had to go around and basically, pull people's culture card. Let's call it honest. It's felt like that recently. So I feel like if somebody is giving us the answer before we have to ask them, that's providing clarity, right? Like I feel like it's a good thing that he's straight up saying, "Listen, that's not me. We don't even have to make the decision. We don't have to decipher it. He's letting us know, right? I feel like that's partially a good thing, to be honest. Um, but at the same time, it's like it feels like you're promoted as a rapper, you know what I mean? Us at the Rap Roundtable, I get there aren't a lot of places who speak about Big X the Plug, but we can say it because we speak about him here. You know what I mean? These are, you're on the rap playlist. You know what I'm saying? Like the sensibilities of your music is obviously that of a rapper. You know what I mean? So it feels like, you're telling us the sky is blue. You're telling us the sky is purple when we're looking at a blue sky, right? Like that's what it kind of feels like. So it's like that's why I feel a bit conflicted because in one sense it's like, I come from, the I'm not a rapper, I'm a hustler era. You know what I mean? Some of our favorites, some of the biggest legends, used to come out and straight up say, I'm not a rapper. You know what I mean? Devaluing it to a lot of the young minds that were coming up behind them. You know what I mean? So there's an issue with what Big X is saying. There's an issue with the OGs of the Big X. You know what I mean? Because he's not the only artist. I remember Juice World, rest in peace, coming out and saying this. I remember there's a lot of modern artists who feel like they have to go this route to separate themselves from the genre, from the culture, in order to be quote unquote taken seriously. So that's obviously a problem as well, right? So there's clear problems within the youth and the culture, and within us who are supposed to pass this down and let people know what the important things were, what to cherish, what to respect, what to broadcast. So there's issues, from us, from them. At the same time, I feel like it would be weird of us to come down on a younger artist when it's really our job. I feel like it's a failing for me as an OG when I hear a young artist do something like this. So I feel conflicted all around. I want to get on him. I want to rag on him. I want to say fuck out of here. But it's like a lot of us, put into the train of thought that these youngsters would have this feeling. You know what I mean? So it's like it comes to a point where it shows why this year and a half has been so important because that this is where we're trying to take it. So I want to get at him, but I feel just as ashamed of myself in this situation. You know what I mean? When I say myself, I mean my generation.
Interesting, very interesting. And I I don't have a issue at all with anyone of the cloth, a phrase we haven't used in quite a bit, but I think it's time for us to dust it off, throw it in the washing machine, throw it in the dryer, get the dryer sheets, make sure that cloth is back and fresh because it's time for a little cloth talk, but it's not gonna go the way exactly I think it's gonna go. Fair one. I fully understand why anyone who's affiliated with hip hop would feel away. We've been hurt before as a culture. You know, we are the most inviting, we are the most inclusive culture in the world. We let them all in. The barbecue's for everybody. It's a fucking buffet now. You know what I mean? You don't even get served.
It
no
wasn't
more.
always that way, but
Right.
somewhere along the way.
You don't even get served anymore. You just pick up the plate when you walk in and you go pick and choose what you want. You want some trap drums? You want some you want some drumless loops?
Yeah.
What you want? You want some cosigns from legends? You want to be from PDX but have East Coast cosigns from New York legends? Win? Huh? Like the buffet is open for everyone. You know, I might get in trouble for that win comment because some of our constituents didn't like when I called out a weak performance from the young lady. I don't have an issue with it, but I'm just saying that's where we are now. The invitation is widespread, but the difference is with this is that it's usually someone who doesn't look like us who goes to the buffet and they pick what they want and then they say, you know what? I don't like this black, this brown hip hop buffet. I want to go to the country buffet. I want to go and yodel. You know what I'm saying? I don't want the barbecue chicken.
Nah, and it's not even that. They like the barbecue chicken. They take the barbecue chicken and bring it over to the other cookout. You know what I mean? And now everybody's like, "Oh shit, where you get this from?" Don't worry about it. Don't worry. Just know that I brought it here.
They don't want the well seasoned barbecue chicken. They want the bottle from the supermarket that they just put on top of the unseasoned chicken. I was going somewhere with it. You know what I mean? They got the taste. They enjoyed it. They might have even dabbled with the women. You know, they might have got the full experience before they left. Okay? But in this case, BigXThePlug is part of the establishment. Yeah. he doesn't need an invitation. He's not a tourist. He in fact, he's inherited the infrastructure built upon from his forefathers. He can walk around and do whatever he want to do. He don't got to pay for shit. He just has to find his corner within the space. So, admittedly, to all who feel away, I fully understand why you feel betrayed, why you feel like, here we go again. We see the Post Malone photos have come out in the aftermath of that, so on and so forth. So it looks like there's a play here. But I'm going to just offer a different perspective. At the end of the day, I know y'all get mad at me all the time. I am prepared for y'all to be mad at me again. I'm not here to shoot bail. I'm only here to offer a different perspective. In the past, when you've had your Post Malone, who's the biggest criminal of them all to me when it comes to this shit, because he was fully hip hop. His whole aesthetic was hip hop. He made a song called White Iverson. He was linking up with the rappers, so on and so forth.
The grills. You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying?
Jeez.
The whole deal. He's a criminal to me. He's unforgivable in my eyes. So they usually say, I'm not hip hop. You know? They usually say I'm not a rapper while making things that are obviously, even Miley Cyrus once upon a time was twerking her back. She ain't got no butt. You know what I mean?
She got a very long back.
Very long back. But I give Miley a little bit of a block because she fake never left. She just started leaning into her white side. But if you listen to her music, she's still lingering on an urbanish side. She like the female Timberlake in that regard. But everybody else comes, I'm not a rapper. I'm not hip hop. This and that. BigXThePlug never said I'm not hip hop. There's a caveat there. It's a bit of a curveball. He said I'm not just hip hop, which means that he's not denouncing his hip hop. He's saying that I'm more than just a hip hop artist. Then you go into his sonics, you do a little deep dive. He's not making trap music. He's not making hardcore Texas raps. His shit country as hell. You know, so I'm gonna say this in chat. You know, I already see the view shit. 10 niggas and clock ticked out already. They already mad. They already mad at me. But all I'm saying is, I don't think he said this to denounce hip hop because he never denounced it in the first place. I think he was trying to swipe his Metro card into the country game, and he was trying to make himself, which is a crime in itself. Let's be clear. He was trying to make himself palatable to the white people because he's doing songs with Shabuzi. He's doing songs with Posty. You know, I'm pretty sure if he hasn't already, they're gonna have the fat guy Ebony and Ivory with Jelly Roll. That's money. It makes sense, right? So I think he was trying to swipe his Metro card into the white world because he knows that I could do this rap shit. He's good at it. The songs is hitting. He got records with rappers. He didn't say I'm not hip hop. He said I'm not just hip hop. Hey guys, I'm not some rapper because again, remember the whites. They feel like the irony, the nerve, the unmitigated gall of the white people to get mad at Beyonce, but the white people feel like Beyonce's a culture vulture. So I think that Big X is over there like, you know what? Before I piss them off and start making their music, hey guys, I'm not just a rapper. I do this. I do this too. And I think he's trying to get in with the whites. So when I say that to the rap roundtable, I bring this offering of a different perspective to Sin and Mesito. What do y'all say to that?
Uh, I hear you. I hear you. And again, and to be honest, because the thing that I feel conflicted about is um trying to dictate what should be in an artist's heart. You know what I mean? Like I can't do that. Nobody can do that, right? They go and make the art that they want to make. My big qualm is when they start framing it in a way where it feels like they're devaluing the genre and the culture of hip hop by saying, "Hey guys, like don't don't just associate me with this." There's some people that'll say, "Don't associate me at all." Shouts to Tommy Richmond, you know what I mean? Hall of Fame on my lawn. Jersey in the rafters and everything. Jersey on the roof, you know. There's some people that will say, "Don't associate me at all with this hip hop thing." You know what I mean? But just the fact that he even says or alludes to, "Don't just associate me with hip hop." There's it still feels like there's some sort of like devaluing. There's some sort of distancing. There's almost like a small tinge of shame, almost like why do y'all feel the need to distance yourself from hip hop? For those artists that do, you know what I mean? Like I really want to know, what is it about categorizing yourself and being seen as a hip hop artist that makes you feel like that's not going to be beneficial to me in the long run? Let me distance myself now before I try. Like, because it's like I said earlier, he could have very well framed it as, "Look, listen, I'm still hip hop. I grew up in this shit. You know what I mean? This is what I grew up on. Like I'm out here, chains out. You know what I mean? Big motherfucker, no shirt on. You know what I mean? Making rap music." You could very well frame it as, "Don't worry, I'm still rap. I'm still hip hop. I'm still going to be rooted in this. I just want to go dabble over there for a little bit. You know what I mean? Let me just do that." That I think would come across a little bit more, I don't know, a little smoother than framing it so negatively. That's my issue.
Real quick, how old is Big X the plug? Somebody
27.
researched that. 20,
27,
27?
yeah.
27. So he is a little bit older than I thought. I was thinking this was like a 22, 21-year old take. But still, it's like I think there's something to be said about the generational aspect of it as well, right? Us that are, the age we are coming when the biggest hip hop artists, even on a crossover level, were still, you know, like obviously hip hop artists. You know what I mean? If whether it was like me who was growing up listening to 50 Cent, you know what I mean? Whether you growing up listening to Nas, Jay, DMX, whatever era you came up into, even when artists cross over, they were clearly, hip hop artists in that at the core. And there was they even their influences, you know what I mean? When they spoke to us about the Rakims and the Canes and the KRSs and even earlier than that. But it's like if Big X is 27, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like he came up behind a artist like Drake, like Young Thug, like Future, people who blurred the lines of those things. Artists who didn't necessarily, and I'm fans of all of those artists. Y'all know that. So I'm not trying to drag anyone. I'm just trying to offer some perspective. Artists who didn't necessarily, instill those core tenets of hip hop within their aesthetic, within their music, within the shit that they were promoting. So it's like it's a certain generational aspect to it as well, and I guess that's it speaks to the fact of why we're having what's what I believe I've called, other people may have called, the culture audit that we've been having recently, because it's like, okay, if we do want this to continue with you know, a smidgen of the shit that we grew up on, we have to kind of establish this now. We're actually too late. So it's, I see why people want to push, you know, artists like the Clips to the forefront. They want to make sure the Mob Deeps get their just due, because it's like, if this is what the new generation is saying, you know what I mean, not really valuing it, you know, when they blow up, you know, making sure they want to get over to the other side, then there's obviously something with what we've been doing. Now, Jarv made an excellent point that he didn't necessarily denounce hip hop, you know what I mean? He kind of just, you know, like he try to get some money over there, you know what I'm saying? He's like, don't judge me at the door, y'all. I'm not just a hip hop artist. I can do what y'all doing. So that Jarv, you know what I mean? Jarv on the money as usual, because yeah, that's kind of what's really going on here. You know what I mean? The new music that he's making has those influences, so he gotta have some
Somebody
credibility
mute.
somehow. So I you know, it's like I don't like ragging on the youngins. I don't like being one of them OGs that come here and just start getting at them. You know what I mean? I want to understand why they thinking the way they do. Why they feel that way. Why they don't value shit the same way I value shit. So I'm not just gonna get at him. I'm trying to understand where it's coming from. You know what I mean? What are his influences? What are his thoughts? What did he grow up listening to? So, you know, excellent point, Jarv. It's not necessarily a denouncement. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the culture is running to say it is, you know, today.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But this it's a catch-22 here, because even in saying that, I want to make it clear that I'm not completely absolving Big X of this situation, because again, I started it off at the top of the episode by making it clear that the person who posted this also had to take it down, but the damage was already done. So it's clear that his team, whomever, understands that this comment, it was a bad look for everybody involved, and I think this speaks to a much deeper issue. Like, I'm glad that I beat Sin to it, because I feel like he would have said it before me. And, you know, on a rare occasion, I get to beat Sin to something on this topic. But I think that this speaks to 20 plus years of cultural malpractice.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is, when that particular region, not a city, this time I'm not blaming just Atlanta, but when that entire region, yes, the South, yeah, the South, bring your ass to the front of the class. Because yeah, New Yorkers, East Coasters, LAers, we fronted, right? We're gonna get that out the way early, because y'all love to throw that in. Oh, I didn't appreciate it. The South has something to say. Cool. But within having something to say, when y'all inherited the culture, because one thing LA did, because it started in New York before it ventured to LA, but when LA had it, they withheld the standards, the necessary standards of this shit. When it came back east, we maintained the standards. Once it left our control and it went below the Mason-Dixon, that region didn't do what was necessary to maintain the standards. We're not talking about the music. We are talking about the ancillary things, the things on the periphery. Y'all was so anti-New York, anti-lyricism, anti-serious hip-hop that y'all went in the opposite direction. And the problem with going in the opposite direction, the fun is good, but there was no regulation of that fun. And there was a lot of things going on in the culture that slipped through the cracks. And you can't blame New York. You can't blame Philly. You can't blame the DMV. You can't blame the West Coast for niggas like Lil Pump happening, right? And everyone of his ilk, the Trippy Reds, all of these guys. What I'm saying is, while yes, you had elite lyricists in the South, elite artistry in the South, y'all didn't maintain the checks and balances to where when a youngin like BigXThePlug comes up, he's 27 years old, which means that he was born in what, 98? So by the time he was cogent enough to understand what hip hop was, we was already phased out. And by the time he was 10, it's 07, we already towards the tail end of Jeezy's peak. We towards the tail end of T.I.'s peak. We in the beginning of Lil Wayne's takeover. So his whole hip-hop experience has nothing to do with the gold standard. He don't even know what it's supposed to look like. And then because of that, when he gets to these platforms, How many East Coast rappers you know says I'm not hip hop? You might hear Hov say I'm not a rapper, I'm a hustler, but you don't hear East Coast dudes saying I'm not hip hop. You don't hear West Coasters from even from the hyphy niggas all the way up and down that coast. They never say some shit like I'm not hip hop. They might tell you I'm a businessman, I'm a hustler who happens to rap, so on and so forth. But they weren't too cool to say that they were hip hop. And if the most hip hop thing is to bully your way through to another genre and do that shit and get paper. Beyonce from the old guard. She ain't say shit. I'm taking that. And y'all gonna play my music. And I'm gonna win awards doing it. What you gonna do? Cry? Oh well, that's hip hop. When Hov was doing shit with Linkin Park, oh well, I'm gonna get money and I'm gonna do my thing. You can't tell me shit. If Nas woke up tomorrow and did whatever the fuck he wanted to do, Nas did a whole fucking reggae album essentially.
Yeah.
That's not hip hop. Reggae is not hip hop. But he could, because I can do what I want to do as an artist. I don't have to say, hey Jamaica, I'm a rap, I'm not hip hop. I want to make a little blend with Mr. Marley over here. You know what I mean?
And thank you, Joe, because that's exactly my point and the point that I've been making. And apparently, Dre can't seem to understand that in the chat.
Dre just like to speak with us, bro. Don't listen
to him. Because that's what I was saying earlier. It's like you could say I'm still hip hop. I'm just gonna do this thing over here with Linkin Park, or I'm gonna do this thing over here with Damian Marley, or I'm gonna do this thing over here with a country artist, or with Limp Bizkit. You know what I mean? Or Christina Aguilera, shit. DJ Premier produced one of Christina Aguilera's biggest singles. You know what I mean? Never once did you hear out of Premier's mouth, "Yo, I'm not just a hip hop producer. Like I'm an everything producer." You know, he's proud of his hip hop roots, and that's what I want motherfuckers to feel and to express is pride, not throw it off to the side, not dismissiveness. You know what I mean? Take pride in that shit. Another point that I wanted to make too, on top of what you were saying, John, because you was cooking, but around the same time, maybe a few years later, but that's when the internet started taking over, and like I've noticed in today's generation, like, again, back to that word, I say it all the time, but like it's the perfect word to describe it. This homogeny of sounds and culture. Like we're trying to move away from that now. You know what I mean? We got the Clips, we got the Mobb Deep, we got Kenny over on the West Side, like doing amazing things with California sound. But like this feeling of a lot of artists today where they have to be everything to everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I don't want them to have to take on that kind of pressure on themselves and responsibility to try to make everybody happy. All you're gonna do is attract a bunch of casual fans. You know what I mean? People that kind of fuck with rap, but kind of fuck with country, but don't really fuck with neither one on the grassroots level. That's who you're gonna attract. You know what I mean? Like you just I wish like more artists, especially more artists in our space, would feel more pride in what they came up with and what they're rooted in hip hop, without having to feel like they're somewhat like denouncing it to try to make the general public happy.
That y'all are both cooking. Y'all are both cooking. Jarv, I'm glad you mentioned actually what year he was born. I couldn't do the math on the spot like that. A little cloudy brain, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's like so when the man was 10 years old, that's Lil Wayne's peak. That's Carter 3. You know what I'm saying? And immediately after Lil Wayne's peak, he made a rock album. You know what I'm saying? Like that's immediately what he did. Kanye used to say, I'm not, don't compare me to rappers. I'm Walt Disney. I'm Elon Musk. I'm Steve Jobs. You know what I mean? Like it's even, and those are two rappers who you cannot erase from hip hop. Absolutely two hip hop artists. You know what I mean? So it's like, if I don't want to take all the onus off of him. You know what I mean? But if a grown man can't read, I'ma know his parents never told him. You feel what I'm saying? So that's the way I'm feeling about it ultimately.
Nah, for a fact. Again, because his parents wasn't listening to that. He came up. Remember, I always jokingly say, like, when you hear kids that listen to certain shit, yeah, they was raised right. It's because like it has to come from your parents.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Your affinity for music starts before you can even have access to music. It starts with whatever you came up subconsciously hearing your parents play, you know? And then from there, your tastes start to formulate, and then you venture off into whatever cultures you were. Again, I had young parents. My mom was listening to New Jack Swing, and I grew up listening to that shit before I ventured off and started falling in love with rap. But I was already basically marinating in hip hop because New Jack Swing is hip hop, guys. If y'all didn't know, you know what I mean. So that's how I grew up. But I saw like part of it is cultural, and the thing is like Drake get mad, and that's cool. That's regular. I expect that. We're not talking about the artist. There was another person who was commenting in the chat. We're not talking about the artistry. We're talking about the checks and balances. People hear and they get emotional, and we've learned that doing this podcast. People hear certain things as triggers, and they get emotional before they actually listen to what's being said. We're not talking about the music that's out because, again, I said there's elite artistry out of the South during that 20-plus year run. But at the same time, as much as there was a high peak, a couple weeks ago, I was telling Sin that the production during their run was better than the East Coast production. I made him sick saying that, but I really believe that was the case. So I could give y'all flowers, but I could also say that as much as the highs were all-time high, y'all didn't maintain the checks and balances at the bottom. We had niggas whispering on songs, bro. We had niggas making songs. Like I go back to that because, like, what we talk, like, y'all serious? Let a nigga in 1997 try to whisper in a rap. He would have got beat up. I'm not even exaggerating that. He would have got on stage and probably got beat up or beat up outside the spot he was performing at.
Hell yeah.
A garbage can at him. That's all I'm saying is that there was a lot of guys that slipped through the cracks.
PM doing? Shit.
Hello? Not even rhyming no cogent bars, just ad-libbing their way through, bullshitting, and they getting mad. And then remember I used to talk about they was on such a high pedestal, these bums, that they used to make fun of the guys who was actually nice at rhyming.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Remember there was at some point niggas used to be embarrassed to be good, like around 2015, 2016. If you was wild nice, they used to poo-poo you. You know what I mean? Because they weaponized the bottom of the barrel so much so that the elite lyricist was getting like disrespected.
Rapidy rappers.
And that came y'all did that. That's not New York didn't do that. LA didn't do that. None of the elite lyrical cities in hip hop did that. That's on y'all watch. Y'all gotta wear that. And BigXThePlug, because he doesn't understand what the standards are, because he didn't have to by way of where he came up. He feels like I can rhyme and I can do it at a high level, but I gotta say some shit like I'm not just hip hop. If he actually had a proper understanding of what hip hop was, he would realize there was no need for him to say that shit in the first place.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just do your interview on BigXThePlug. I'm popping. The white people like me. The black people like me. And the thing is, the irony is, Sin, he didn't even have to sell out to get them to both like him. He was doing some original shit.
Yeah.
No one was making music sonically like him.
Right. It was like he didn't have to make that comment at all.
It feels very I know Black Poppy. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying.
If you got any pride in your culture, you gonna feel away.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Oh no, not the I know blah. Oh. I've witnessed that in real time. I used to kick my ass. Like when I was young and didn't know any better about anything, that used to you look just like me, gang.
What are you talking about?
Full of arguments about that shit. But anyway, we didn't remind you at the top. Make sure y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe option, hit the notification bell, lock in the All Things Rap Roundtable. If you're still here by the end of the stream, refresh, swipe to the left, and hit hype. For the people who are not watching the live stream and you're catching it, replay gang, shout out to you. Make sure you like, subscribe, swipe, and hype. Lock in the All Things Rap Roundtable. We got a lot of content that's already out. We had episode 136 is out. We had the J. Cole clip that's out. We got a J. Cole short that's out. We got last week's live if you missed it. We got a lot of content for you, long story short. But now, speaking of content and where you might want to place that content, Rock Nation has officially launched its own distribution platform. 85% royalty payouts that will be paid monthly. Distributes to over 200 platforms. Central dashboard for socials, streaming, and audience data. No upfront costs. Sign-ups are open now. So in one of the group chats that we're in, people feel like this is only good for lower tier independent artists who don't have much motion but want to throw the Rock Nation name around. I've seen Russ, and I know Russ is not somebody who we quote much here on the Rap Roundtable, but he had an issue with the whole idea that you got to give up 15%
Splits.
of
Yeah.
your cut. Although Rock Nation is not doing any kind of legwork, there's no promo, there's no nothing. They just offering you the platform.
Mm.
So the Rap Roundtable was not calling it a scam, but nevertheless, the talking point around this announcement is that it is in fact a scam or it's scam adjacent, right? So my question to you would be, since the rap song, but then Mesito. Matter of fact, I'll go to Mesito for this one. He's the industry guy. My fault,
Mm.
Sin. Since
Okay.
Mesito, your thoughts on this whole thing? Break it down from your perspective, and what do you think of it all for independent artists who might need a platform?
I agree in the sentiment that you can't call it a scam. I would not call it a scam because everything is all the information is being given up front, right? Maybe a little smoke and mirrors, maybe a little bit of clout chasery. Maybe there's that involved, but I would absolutely not call it a scam. The thing is this, um, like you say, like a lot of people are saying, this is essentially a deal to be able to sit in them Rock Nation offices with the paper plane in the back. You know what I mean? Be able to throw the name Rock Nation on your shit. Be able to possibly get some free fitteds. I don't know. This is basically that, right? This is the Rock Nation stamp. It's getting your product in Target, right? It's getting your product in Walmart. It's the prestige of that, because when you compare it to other distro deals, Jarv, you mentioned the 85-15%. That's that's I'll call it around the industry standard. Whether it's a major label or these distribution services. A quick Google search will show you that DistroKid, although they take 0%, they give you 100%. If you are on some sort of paid tier, they do take from ten to about 20%. If you do want your shit promoted on their socials, they take in 20%. If you want them to monetize your shit on YouTube and IG, they taking 20%, right? United Masters, they have also a subscription based kind of service. They're taking anywhere from 10 to 15% of their shit themselves, right? So this is it's not some sort of huge scam in the sense that they're taking way more than everybody. No, everybody at this level is kind of taking around the same amount. So what is this? Like I say, this is getting your product with a certain name on it. So I do agree with the group chat that this is more about just if you're an independent artist, if you're I don't want to call lower tier, because we're not talking about quality. We're talking about you're standing within the industry, sales. You know what I mean? A following, IG followers, shit like that. If you are on the lower tier, then I can see you wanting to associate yourself with Rock Nation in some sort of way. If you're a younger artist, a newer artist, an artist that hasn't made a huge name for themselves, I can see you wanting to do this. But Russ is giving good advice, pretty much, that any established artist, any artist that's put in work, any artist that values that independent nature, that wants to be a person who is independent for real, then yeah, they probably just looking at this like this is some BS, right? This is some shit that nobody wants to do. And also, Rock Nation has to take some responsibility from this, from recent PR failures, from recent leaks that have come out. Rock Nation's PR is pretty bad right now. If this was 5 years ago, I feel like us as a culture in the industry that is part of the culture would be, universally celebrating this. Would be like, oh, we trust everything they're doing. They had a lot more cultural cachet anywhere from 5 to 10 years ago, but people don't trust Rock Nation right now. They look at the casino and think that Jay Z's name on it. We don't trust shit like that. You hear the conversations. We see them online, guys. I'm not pulling this out of nowhere. We see Desiree Perez and leaked phone calls saying that during the pandemic, Rock Nation was almost done as a business. Right? We heard that. You know what I'm saying? That they were in debt, that they needed PPP loans to keep Rock Nation afloat. We've heard, we've seen, for better or worse, how people feel about the Meg Thee Stallion situation and everything that surrounds Rock Nation within this 24-hour news cycle, where we are almost given too much information, right? If that is a thing, you know what I mean. For some of y'all, it is. For us that could decipher it, we need the information. Some of y'all get confused when y'all get too much, but you know, in this type of news cycle, when we've heard so much bad shit about Rock Nation, the dinners they may be at, the people they may associate with, people don't trust them right now. So if there is going to be a 50-50 chance, if people are on the fence, they're gonna lean like, nah, they must be scamming us, just because, you know, we know what the owner of Rock Nation look like. We don't know who's running DistroKid. I know Steve Stout is the face of United Masters. Is he running it? I'm not 100% sure. You
Didn't
know what I'm
Rock
saying?
Nation absorb DistroKid?
I'm not 100% sure. If they have, Job, you can research it for me while I'm yapping. But you know, so there's a lot of people who just, they like, I don't trust this, man. Rock Nation is always trying to fuck over people. Rock Nation is always into some shit. You know what I mean? Like, nah, I'm not with it. So it's like, in when you know, the same thing that made us trust Rock Nation, knowing that, you know, oh, Jay-Z's the face of this. They helping J. Cole, they helping Wale, they helping Meek Mill. You remember the early days of Rock Nation? The same shit that made us trust them, knowing who was running it and knowing what was going on, at this point, it's making us not trust them, right? So it's just heavy as the head, you know what I'm saying? But I will say, I don't think it's some sort of scam in the sense that they're taking way more than anybody else would take. It's, you want the Rock Nation name on your shit, there's a percentage we got to take. That's business to me.
Oh, pardon me, real quick, just to update that last question. It was EQ Distro
Okay,
that they had the partnership with. It wasn't DistroKid, but it was,
got
you know, again, old man Job, the distros, the loses. You know what I mean? These
you.
things, these things happen. Consider Rap Snob.
Yeah.
Tito laid it out.
Yeah.
What was your initial thought, your knee jerk reaction, and what do you think after hearing what May said?
It hasn't really changed much. You know what I mean? Again, I being privy to like the industry standards, you know what I mean? Not just for like the introductory free tier of distribution services, but also like, you know, the paid tiers, the ones that give you more features and you know, yeah, just give you more essentially. Yeah, I looked at 8515. I was like, all right, that doesn't sound too bad. You know what I mean? I don't think it's not, you know, it's not that locks that lock skit that they had back on We Are the Streets. It didn't feel like that. You know what I mean? I was about to, you know, name it by name, but we can't do that.
Please don't.
No, get demodified. But yeah, it didn't feel egregious to me. You know what I mean? So people calling it a scam, it's a little bit heavy-handed. I feel like that word scam, like Mace, very in very detailed fashion, you know, laid out for us. I think that word scam comes from, you know, the public perception of Rock Nation right now, and we all know, you know, there's always going to be a segment of people that look at Jay-Z and he's like, oh, there's got to be a scam. You know what I mean? There's got to be some you know, underhanded shit. You know what I mean? There's got to be some snake shit. You know, yeah. So that's where I feel that the scam thing is coming from. You know, I could kind of see it. You know, like I'm you know, just going on the website and seeing, you know, they're promoting it as like, you know, you sign up, you get 85%, and we put you on over 200 plus platforms. So somebody was, I don't remember who, but somebody in the chat was asking like, what is even the role or the purpose of a distribution company or distribution service in big 2015, big 2025, 2025. When there's no,
This,
you know,
this
there's
is
no
why we be late. Niggas is tired. You know what I'm saying?
there's no brick and mortars. You know what I mean? There's no physical CDs, cassettes. You know, we do vinyls here and there. You know what I mean? But like, it's not back in the day where you were getting everything at Virgin Megastore and Tower Records, right? So what's even the purpose of a distribution company? And what it is, you know, the ties, the relationships that they have. You know, the relationships with the Instagrams and the TikToks and you know, every single streaming service that exists under the sun, even the ones that you don't know about. You know, in other countries, that, you know, streaming services that don't exist here in the States, that they, you know, they operate solely in like, you know, Japan, or operate solely in like Korea or wherever. This is a global thing, you know, so like that's the big push here. That's the big, you know, shining neon lights is, hey, look, we could put you on on every single platform around the world. And that's a big draw. I'm not going to lie. You know what I mean? For somebody that is just coming into the game, it's a very big draw. Now, my concern is not so much for the artist, honestly, but after some time, like the luster of the Rock Nation name is gonna kind of wear out a little bit. Like, when everybody and their mom is signing up to Rock Nation, now it's like, all right, so you want Rock Nation. So what? So you have Rock Nation distribution. So what? I could have Rock Nation distribution. I could go on Google Chrome right now and sign up and upload a couple songs. I'm on Rock Nation now. Invite me to the fucking brunch. You know what I mean? You send me some hats.
Well, so, Rory's not going anymore, so there's a spot open.
There's a spot.
I'm gonna come clean. Rory probably been banned since that Joe Button thing, but I digress.
You know what I mean? So yeah, that's how I'm feeling about it. Like this to me feels like Rock Nation is feeling the hurt of their recent PR, and they want to they want to promote themselves as being for the people now. You know what I mean? Let's do something for the people. Let's do something for the entry level artists. You know what I mean? Let's prove that we have the artists in mind. And then I think that's where this is coming from. But as far as being a scam, that's heavy-handed and mad egregious. I don't agree with that.
I think, quite frankly, Rock Nation job is here, man. I don't do the paper plane thing too often.
Listen, real quick. Hold on one second. Hold on. No, it's not you. Oh, Famous Face. You know what I mean? I agree. I could be long-winded at times, but I didn't talk for longer than Mace just talked. So I don't know what the hell you talking about now, bro. Get out of here.
That wasn't bad, son.
Fuck out of here.
With the Stone Cold Stunner clanking the beers together. Let's get it. See, I like when y'all crash out on the chat, because I'm always crashing out. You know what I mean? I appreciate that. Yeah, but Rock Nation job is here, man. Get my paper plane hat, B. I don't think, first and foremost, let's get the obvious out the way. I don't think it's a scam, right? But I also don't think this is as big of a deal as people are making it out to be. I think this is the power of the keyword that is Rock Nation. As far as internets go, Rock Nation might be the search phrase, whatever you want to call it, the keyword. That right there is the most polarizing title in all of the internet, not named Drake or Kendrick Lamar. You put Rock Nation attached to anything, you know what I mean? Things are going to go in a certain kind of way where it's going to lead to a lot of conversations, a lot of talking points, and quite frankly, a lot of distrust. Look at this. You got Macito here mentioning that there were like leaked phone calls during the pandemic about Rock Nation potentially going out of business. Because Rock Nation is so polarizing, that bit of information right there, like, see, it's all smoke and mirrors. You know what I mean? When in reality, Rock Nation potentially going out of business during the pandemic is par for the course. You know how many businesses, long story short, need day-to-day operations to stay afloat? Some of the most popular brands need day-to-day operations to be in tow in order to stay afloat. Think about the amount of companies that went out of business, the amount that went bankrupt, that had to close locations, so on and so forth. But because it's Rock Nation, people feel like, oh, it can't happen. What you're witnessing with Rock Nation is mergers and acquisitions day in and day out. They are an independent company, low-key. They're not a startup anymore, but they still operate in certain aspects like a startup, which means that you're going to see things happen that are going to make you recoil. Look, that feels kind of nasty because they got to do some mergers and acquisitions in order to make some things shake. You have this distribution situation right here. You know what that tells me, Macito? To your point about them potentially going out of business in 2020, pardon me, is that they need a steady influx of cash. You're not getting invited to a brunch. Quite frankly, you're not even signed to Rock Nation. Like the people who did the DistroKid thing, they are Rock Nation affiliate. We saw the pictures. They was in the office. They got deals. Some of the people that we know personally have those arrangements right now. But if you're uploading your music onto the Rock Nation streaming platform, it ain't no different from just directly uploading it to Apple Music. This is just the latest online platform that has a name. Like I said in one of our group chats, with a bunch of nameless people that you know. It's just a talking point now. Like I do that shit now, and I'm in Mesito and Sin, and I'm an up and coming rapper. Yo, be at you where your music at? Oh yes, Rock Nation. They distributing my music, this and that. I'm not lying.
Right.
I've never met Jay-Z. They will call security if I went to the office.
You don't even got a hat.
I don't got a hat. I don't got the Rockefeller chain. But I can say that my music is distributed through Rock Nation. So what they've done is they've, homogenized their name recognition. I gotta use a sin word in order to get people to spend their money and keep some steady influx of cash rolling through. This is honestly, quite frankly, this is a nothing burger to me. This is just another thing for people to use. Maybe I'm underselling it, but this don't mean shit. Because if you're an artist with a name or you got some motion, Rock Nation themselves is gonna stop you from using that platform. They're gonna pay you to be on a label officially or be managed by it. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys.
Yeah, I see it.
No disagreement. I was hoping for some kind of static here.
Nah.
I think we all kind of have the same idea about it. Where it's like, I think we're three very knowledgeable people about the game. You know what I mean, and about how all of this shit works. We're also three very realistic people. So it's like, yeah, like you say, Job. When I seen it, I said, oh, they trying to cash out on the name. Why not, right? We all know Rock Nation. It's like I say, like, listen, it's gonna cost more to get your sneakers in Foot Locker than it do to be at the mall. You feel what I'm saying? That's what they basically doing. They cashing out and saying, yo, you want to put your kicks in here? Then you know what I'm saying? We're gonna make sure we have them on every website. You know what I'm saying? It's like StockX or eBay, right? StockX will probably take a little bit more off that sale. So it's like it's I get it, and it's like we said, like Rock Nation, we know a lot about them. You know what I'm saying? The more we find out about you, the less trusting somebody will be. So it's like I scam is just a little bit too heavy-handed of a phrase for me. Shout to Russ for the information that he given, but it's even him, and I'm not trying to act like I know anything close to the music business that Russ knows. But it's like when I research these places, everybody taking a little bit of a percentage. You know what I'm saying? All of them, all
Y'all
of the
mind?
popular names are taking a percentage.
Y'all mind if I read these Russ tweets real quick, just to
Cook,
add for people who might not have seen them, because I don't think our audience pays attention to Russ. So
cook.
he says here, major label distribution comes bundled with major label services, a team, radio, marketing, global offices, sales teams, editorial leverage, etc. Rock Nation distro platform is a self-serve uploader with none of those services, and yet they're charging the same 15% major labels do. The economics don't make sense when the entire market norm is 0 to 10% and only charging percentage when they add services. He goes on to say, because he's clearly bothered by this. He goes on to say a $50 annual fee versus 50% of your entire catalog's revenue are not remotely comparable. He's quote tweeting someone who's debating him. One is a fixed cost, the other is a tax on your entire career. Free to upload is the okie doke. Fixed fees protect artists, percentages drain artists. Even if you make 1K a year, 1,000 a year, 50% equals $150. You already paid. You're damn near 3 times the cost of any flat fee to distributor. He has a few more things to say, but that's the gist of it. So I guess now what I'll do is, because as we were talking about it, I'm thinking about it in real time. Why would an artist need the Rock Nation distributor if it's a matter of uploading? If he could just upload his music to an Apple Music or to a Spotify, however that works, what exactly does he need what does he need Rock Nation for? Why is he paying that 50%? What is the gain for the artist besides saying it's distributed by Rock Nation? There got to be something else at play here.
In my mind, and Sin can cook as well. In my mind, I'm thinking of, because most people, you can upload it straight to YouTube. You can upload it straight to Apple. You can upload it straight to Spotify. But that's going to be at the bottom of those billion songs that are uploaded every day. You know what I mean? These are algorithms at work, and these are playlists at work, and these are, just name recognition at work. Yeah, you could. You know what I mean? You could drop a song tomorrow. You know what I mean? Why sign to any record label? You could drop a song tomorrow and sell 2 million records in theory, right? But it's like, Russ has built up his name, and he's built up his catalog, and he's built up cachet. So I see where Russ is like, fuck out of here. But it's like, you know what I mean? For the dude straight out of high school, he might want to make this move. You know what I mean? Because there is a lot of the music business is as much of a tech business as it is about the music these days. So I see you wanting to link up with one of these, tech companies disguised as the music business. You know what I mean? I see why you would want to link up with one of them. Rock Nation is saying to themselves, well, hey, we see what United Masters is doing. We see what, we absorbed EQ Distro. We see what Distro Kid is doing. Why not use our name and our cachet to put our business out there, right? It's a big company deciding to make a bagel store because bagels is hot. You feel what I'm saying? That's the way I look at it. You know what I mean? So why would you want to do it the same reason anybody goes anywhere? Because you want that name, you want, a possibility, because it's all a lottery at the end of the day. And you know what I mean? There's only 0.0001% of anybody that makes any money off of this music business anyway. But you want to be behind, you want to in your mind be part of that situation. Maybe get, a link. Maybe have them notice your shit before anybody else does. It's all about, I wouldn't call it smoke and mirrors or a scam, but it's that hope. Russ knows enough about the game to know it don't matter anyway. Right? That's what Russ is essentially trying to tell you. But I can see why somebody would want to do it. I'm in my 30s and have seen this shit happen a million times. But I can see why somebody fighting for their dream would want to try it out as much as they would want to try the next person.
Yeah, and I have to think that, like, in those 200 plus platforms that Rock Nation is touting, there's some platforms that living in the U.S. and that might be overseas that might be more difficult to get onto because of IP address issues or because of internet issues or whatever the case. You know what I mean? There's certain platforms that if you don't live in that country, you don't live in that area, you're not allowed to go onto those platforms directly. You know what I mean? But a Rock Nation might have that connect. So there's that. I'm also sure that they'll do, they have things in place that will help push the songs a little bit harder, rather than just like upload and just hope for the best. Maybe Rock Nation will put your song on TikTok and try to make it a trend or something. I don't know, something like that.
I guess the question here, maybe it is a stupid question, but it needs to be asked because we like to cover our bases. Is Rock Nation right now at this very second, is the name Rock Nation good enough to do all of the things that we just talked about? Is the name recognition still good money? Considering all the negative energy around it from people who don't care for it, is it a valuable enough name for me to say, artist A, here's 15% until I'm done with you guys as a partnership?
Well,
I say no.
Yeah,
I say
and
no.
I also say probably
my fault,
not.
saying Cook.
No, go ahead, Mace.
I was just gonna say for the simple fact that it's been a very long time since Rock Nation was associated with a homegrown artist. Anybody who's popping in Rock Nation right now, whether it's Uzi, whether it's Meg, has been blown up and then plucked from their situation to now be a Rock Nation artist. So I don't think that anybody who's really researching would say with any certainty that the Rock Nation name alone is enough to matter in that situation.
Yeah, and that's why I think this is in some sort of way a bit of a rebrand. You know what I mean? A bit of a, I don't want to call it a relaunch, but like, some just to sort of pivot and go in a different direction. You know what I mean? A direction that might gain them a little bit of, just better PR and a little bit of grace from the people.
Okay. I disagree. I think the name carries enough weight. It's strong enough. And even if there's not many homegrown artists, once you get affiliated with the nation, your Q rating goes up immediately as an artist, for better and in some cases for worse, Meg. You know what I mean? But nevertheless, Rock Nation is going to guarantee that you're going to get the rocket strapped to you. You're going to get the doors open, whether you're a signed artist and you get opportunities. And maybe with this distribution thing, maybe saying you got a point. Maybe they got something in place to where for your 15% that you got to pay regularly, we're going to make sure that we do a little more for you to be seen. Maybe there's some algorithm control built in that'll help you be seen. You know what I mean? But at the same time, Rock Nation job, I'll wear the paper plane hat. But if this ends up being some bullshit, I was the first one here on the Rap Roundtable to say, that's a waste of time, kid. Just do it yourself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, hit the like button, hit the subscribe option, hit the notification bell. We still have about 30% of y'all who watch regularly but are not subscribed to the Rap Roundtable. So make sure that you do that. Hit the subscribe option for us. If you're watching this right now and you're going to be here towards the end of the stream, refresh, swipe, and hype. If you're catching this via the replay gang right now, scroll down, swipe, and hype, and do everything else we asked you to do. Lock into all things Rap Roundtable. Last week, Rory of Rory and Maul fame, of Joe Button podcast fame, of Duce Palooza fame, had what could be considered the worst week ever. It started off, it almost started off like the coronavirus. It started off slowly, and we ignored it for a bit. You were here, because the thing is, I can tell you, I was hearing the reports over in Wuhan every day, driving to the train station. Not paying it no mind. Like, all right, whatever. That's over there.
That's way over there.
That's over there. And the next thing you know, by like February 2020, I'm like, yo, what the fuck going on? Wait, what?
We were like, we don't need no bats, man. Get out of here.
Word. And that's how the same thing happened with Rory. Like, there was a stray tweet here and there that was coming across. You see like the retweets of old shit. And I'm like, oh, these are just Kendrick fans digging up because, that's the OVO platform allegedly. Because Maul get Rory in. This is Maul's fault, really. Because of Maul's OVO affiliations, the Kenny fans are digging up old tweets for Rory. So I ignored it. I said, that's over there. And then the tweets just kept showing up on my timeline. Then they were going viral. Then it was like, wait a minute. Oh, they really talking about this shit. Then they make it into the group chat. It's on Sincere's timeline now. He's throwing it in the group chat. Mason's throwing it in the group chat. I'm throwing it in the group chat. This shit would not go nowhere.
Then it lands on TMZ.
Then it goes on TMZ.
Right.
Like, what?
Right.
But before TMZ, you had the one of the worst Twitter Space performances of all time, where Rory gets yelled at by like the whole of Black Twitter. I'm dragging it. But nevertheless, the worst week ever, highly racial, highly questionable tweets since the Raps. Now, we know you don't even really watch Rory and Maul like that. But This came across your desk. And I know you feel some type of way.
I mean, this is just terrible all across the board on all accounts. Here's the thing: the smallest amount of bail that I will throw Rory is that
don't do it, Sin.
No. Is that on some level, there's always inside jokes that we have with people that we know, people around us, people who we talk to every day. That's about as much as I'll understand from his stance. You know what I mean? There were certain things that were said, and he claims that were said in jest because, he was joking with other people that he knew on Twitter, and he was creating, fake retweets, and, those people know his sense of humor, blah, blah. But that's the problem, though, is that, one, that's a pretty shitty sense of humor to have. And second, you're going on Twitter. Not everybody's going to know your sense of humor, dog. So you really have to be careful about the shit that you put out there. Like these tweets that were calling out things from, Blue Ivy's hair, like did nobody have a comb? Like, bro, what is that? I can't even remember all the tweets now. But there was some really, really like in very poor taste jokes, quote unquote jokes that he had on Twitter during this time. And I get it. It's, let me not say I get it, but I get the fact that it was early Twitter, Twitter X. It's not what it is now. TMZ was not necessarily picking up shit that was happening on Twitter. So I get it. There was this time where like you felt like you had your certain circle of friends that you constantly tweeted with and replied to and mentioned and retweeted. And that's as far as it was going, right? But this is the fucking internet. And you motherfuckers are going to learn one way or another. I can't, like, how many times does this have to happen to people? Like, y'all just got to be smarter. You know what I mean? Like, if you're low-key racist, now you are high-key racist because everybody knows now. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to be a racist, at least try to keep it under wraps. You know what I mean? But anyway, this is just like, I don't understand how somebody of that level of platform today doesn't go back and do the knowledge on his own profile, go back into his old tweets and be like, yo, I wonder how this shit would come off today if somebody discovered them. And fucking scrub your shit, man. Like, honestly, it might feel like I'm more bothered by the fact that like this even came out the way that it did. And that's just because I'm more offended by the stupidity of it all than I actually am by the racist, the racist jokes. Because if there's one thing I know, shouts to Mace. Mace said this the other day, and I have to agree. Like, white people gonna be racist. You know what I mean? White people just gonna be racist. At one point or another, is gonna come out, right?
White people in the I know blast, but I digress.
So
I'm shooting at
this is
everybody.
this is kind of par for the course for, especially again, we've talked about this extensively. Somebody white who is in a black or person of color space, in a hip hop space, they get really, really comfortable, and then they start making these jokes that they think that they can get over because they've been to one too many cookouts, and come, one day they just got to find out the hard way that you were around certain people, but the rest of the public who does not know you and doesn't know what you meant, they're gonna take it some sort of way, and they have the right to take it some sort of way. So when this shit hit the fan, I'm gonna wrap this up in a second. When this shit hit the fan, the thing to do was, my bad, I fucked up, I'm sorry.
Let me tell you what happened.
Twitter space trying to explain it away. Like, that was the last thing you should have done. Don't say what you meant. Don't try to put any type of context on it. No matter what you think you felt in your own heart, this is not the time for that. You just got to chalk it up to an L. People found out about it. They felt the way about it. They had the right to feel the way that they felt about it, and all you had to do was acknowledge how they felt, take the L, apologize, and move on. But that shit that you did in the spaces, that was the worst thing you could have done. You made this thing astronomically worse to the point where now you're not even on Twitter no more. So how you like that?
Listen, Rory, Mesa, I'm about to pass it to you. I was trying to, since Sam mentioned the barbecue, I was trying to say that this is that damn buffet again.
Yeah.
He went to that buffet and he got a couple of ribs. He went around the corner because he's in New York. He got some jerk chicken. He got the extra oxtail gravy on the rice and peas. Then he said nigga, and nobody corrected him. He said, "Oh shit, I'm one of the guys." That's what happened.
The Homelander face.
Facts. He looked around. He said, "Oh nigga." It happened on the podcast low key a couple weeks ago. I don't know if y'all seen that clip where he caught the and then he gritted his teeth on the gun. So he been saying that shit.
Yeah.
He thought he was gay for real. Mesito, you the one who dropped the Twitter space in the chat, so you was locked into this shit.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, man?
They was cooking him in that Twitter space too, by the way. That was a humiliation ritual. I don't know why he even entered that room. Listen, shit like this, like Sin alluded to, shit like this really never shocks me, bro. It never shocks me. White people being racist, saying racist shit, whether for real or jokes. I'm not gonna. I do get offended. It's offensive shit, but I never get surprised. Listen, as you know, there's no excuse here. There's no bail that needs to be given. Rory's getting everything he deserves, right? Rory is one of those people who, and I say this as a person who watches Rory and Maul. You know what I mean? Rory's one of those people that walk around, one of those white guys that walk around with the "I'm good" pass in hip hop. You know what I mean? Rory's one of those white guys in hip hop that really would say shit that I feel like maybe the Jeremy Hex might not be comfortable saying, right? I don't know if it's because he was, the infamous Rock Nation engagement he had with a black woman. You know what I mean? That's another part of it, is that Rory, has been known to frequently date and be with black women. So a lot of them feel like they get a pass to say whatever the fuck they want to say. No. You know what I mean? So that's why, this was, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed, the him standing on it and getting killed for it. I enjoyed him eventually deleting tweets. I enjoyed him eventually deleting his Twitter. I found it hilarious. A lot of people love to go straight to, oh, you had to be there for this time on Twitter. This is how we used to do. Go to the Rap Roundtable Twitter, and then you see me, Job, and Sin. Those are three 2009 accounts. Y'all can look up and down our Twitters. We were never tweeting like this, bro. You know what I mean? So it's like I get some people were, but even in them days, some of us were like, why are these motherfuckers tweeting like that? We weren't all. That wasn't some widespread thing. It was the clown niggas did that shit, and we used to call them out on they clown shit back
Yeah,
then.
those are some corny niggas, bro. That's in real time. That's how we looked at that type
We
of
was looking
conversation.
at him like corny niggas. Rory is my age, bro. We the same age, so it's like, nah, Rory, we wasn't thinking like this. The fact that you thought you were good, you know what I mean? I know a lot of people are upset. Like, how can you blame a black person for a white person's actions? But nah, you gotta put some blame because Rory was around a lot of people that let him ride, that let him rock. You look at those tweets back then. There's people laughing in those tweets back then. Black people, men and women. Keep keying it up with him in the replies of the whack shit he was talking about. It's like you said, y'all. At first it was like, all right, this could be interpreted a certain way. Like, nah, maybe he wasn't thinking it. But once we got to weave tweets, to tar baby tweets, I was like, what is this? An old Eminem lyric? What's going on over
That's the
here?
shit I was trying to remember. The Tar Baby shit.
You know
Man.
what I'm
Matter of
saying?
fact,
So
let me
I was
not even
like,
say.
what's
I don't
going
even
on?
feel right
You know,
saying
John caught
the
it. John
fucking
caught it.
word, bro.
So I'm like, yo,
Chill.
so for me, I'm like, nah, like shit got real nasty, and I'm glad they packed them up. You know, the semi apology that him, Damaris, and Maul did on their show. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even watch that shit. I don't want to hear an apology about some shit I'm not gonna forgive you for. So like, nah, like Rory, this is and another part of this is why I need people within the culture, black people within the culture, to stop giving out those you wanted a good white boy passes. Because
Yeah.
y'all gonna continuously get disappointed. Y'all gonna continuously, you know what I mean? Whether whoever it is, whatever side of it is, this is not a because I know it derived from the Kendrick and Drake thing, but this is a widespread problem. You feel what I'm saying? So don't never let yourself get believe in these motherfuckers so much and get so attached that you get let down when you see shit like this. Because
Right.
I'm gonna be honest, I never get surprised.
And
Go
I
ahead,
just
son.
want to add something real quick. Because this is Mace mentioned how, like, if you look up and down all of our timelines, you would never find no tweets, no jokes, nothing super salacious like that. And that's because, like, we at least for me, I don't want to speak for y'all, but I feel like we all understand the ramifications of saying shit in public and putting that kind of energy out there. You know what I mean? And jokes is one thing, but when you take jokes too far and you post them in a public space where everybody is going to be consuming that joke, not just the people that you intended it for, everybody's going to be consuming it. I'll be honest. There's been times where I've gone on Twitter and I'm like, oh, I kind of want to get a joke off, but like, how is this going to land? People that follow me, people that know me, they might get it. The rest of Twitter, like if it retweets into the wrong side of Twitter, they're not going to understand my sense of humor, and they shouldn't have to understand my sense of humor. You know what I mean? Not everybody feels the same things are funny. Not everybody thinks that not everybody gets the jokes. So I've always gone into any social media space and been very cognizant of, okay, whatever I post is not just going to the eyes of the people that follow me or the people that just know me. This has the potential of reaching far greater spaces, And so for him, and this is the one that really had me really fucked up, because there was a tweet reporting how Lauren London was pregnant by Nipsey Hussle, and then he goes and quote tweets and says maybe her kids can end gang violence. And I'm reading this, and this is the thing. I'm not just reading this as now. I'm trying to read this
Listen,
as.
so you cut the line and talk for another 5 minutes? Can I cook?
I'm sorry. I'm gonna wrap it up. But I went and read this as 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and not a single version of me understood how this would be funny, like at all. You know what I mean? Like I found, like I was just so highly offended by that tweet with everybody that's involved. There's a baby involved, gang violence. Like I just don't understand like where he found the humor and all that. You know what I mean? So like, fuck if that's what he thinks is funny, fuck him. He's getting everything he deserves.
Shit, I wish I had the drop. That sounded like a lawn to me. But this thing with Rory, it's like May said the thing about it being that part of Twitter, like over there corny shit, and Sin kind of mentioned it too, where it's like I could joke about a lot of shit, right? But it's like them type of that kind of rhetoric just don't even cross my mind. You know, I'll joke and say, all right, boom, like that group of people is racist. We just did it on this pod. You know what I mean? But like to get into like the minutia of said race and start like going on a diatribe of tweets. Like to me, when I used to see shit like that, no disrespect, when I used to see things like that, they used to look like the Tyler the Creator niggas to me. All them edgy for the sake of being edgy types. Like I never took it as like you're meant to be taken seriously. Before I even understood what being a serious person was, I was like, this y'all niggas just want to be seen. Y'all just saying this shit for shock value. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, you a white dude, you got the light Caesar, you know what I mean? So you basically trying to embody it with your haircut that you're one of us. So if you go into the barbershop, you go into the DR barber or black barber that's lining you up with your light Caesar and shit and your perfectly groomed beard, then that means that you should know the rules, gang. You know, even back then, because the rules we ain't just get the rule book in 2020, whatever it is now, 2025. The rule book been the rule book. You feel me? And as a white guy, if you could jokingly type out shit about a child's hair, Mesito mentioned tar baby and all the other things, and then, you know, your first knee-jerk reaction, whether it's true or not, I don't know, but to say that your black girlfriend was the one who was tweeting that, bro, that shit like
corny.
Bro, like even let's say in a hypothetical universe that in fact it was Sam who did that, because I was following this girl the whole time on Twitter, didn't know that was Rory's ex. I had no idea.
Same.
I had no clue.
Same.
Until
I did not know that was Rory's ex. Bro.
Until the Rock Nation photo with him proposing, and she got on Twitter talking about I can get to talking, but I won't say nothing, so on and so forth. I had no idea that was her. But even on the off chance that it was her, right? Once it hit the fan, if your first inclination is to snitch, that says everything I need to know about you. If your first inclination is to say it wasn't me, it was her. Oh, and I go back to what happened with Joey, where essentially you were telling on Joey before everything planned out. And again, we're not talking about right and wrong. We're talking about your character. In two instances on the internet, your first inclination was to make someone else look crazy during a situation that involved you and you only. You know what I mean? You, Rory, Joe. So you were supposed to speak for yourself. You, Maul, and Joe. Maul's supposed to speak for himself. But you and Maul got together and said it was him. I never liked that. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it was always Joe Button's pod. Y'all were always employees. Y'all try to mutiny on air and behind the scenes. Maul blocked me on Instagram when I commented and I was like, yo, why'd you come back if you were going to pull this shit? You know what I'm saying? And he blocked me immediately. You know what I mean? So that whole situation, it smells so bad. It looks bad. It smells bad. And if you got the inclination to joke that way about black people, the fact that them thoughts is in your brain, like Mesito said, like Sinner said, then I got to look at you like you one of them. Even if you're not. That type of thing just tells me that if the shit hits the fan and the fact that you were ready to tell on your ex, I don't know if they still again, I think it's his ex, you know, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Then Maul comes on, and this is when it got me fucked up. Maul comes on there trying to let his nuts hang and, oh, these people don't matter, and these people don't matter, and who are you, and you don't like, can you spell itinerary and things of that nature? Bro, you black. At the end of the day, there's supposed to be barriers. You could joke and you could hee ha ha about me, but joking about my people, even if it was in vogue back in 20 whatever the fuck. Nah. You get on if you're gonna get on that space, and since at the point, you should have never been there to begin with. But if you're gonna get on that space, yo, I apologize. There's really no way to joke about that. It was a poor taste. I fucked up. I know how it looks as a white man in this climate, especially. I know how it looks, but I shouldn't have done that. I'd like to move forward. Or you didn't have to do the space. You didn't have to get on Twitter. You have a whole platform. Yeah, independent podcast. You could have just did an emergency pod where you talk about it and you lay it out and move on.
But instead, he went on the next episode and essentially tried to double down and continue like trying to explain it away.
And it's like you could play the whole everybody who knows me knows everybody who knows you know. Cool, Rory, newsflash, pal. Let me tell you something real quick. I want you to come in very close to the camera too when I tell you this. You can still go to McDonald's. Okay? You are not you are popular, but you're not a celebrity. So as many people who might quote know you, there's tons of people who either don't know you or see you as a white man talking crazy and now they don't trust you. It's not about who knows you anymore. It's simply about this looks crazy. Let me fix it. I am sorry. And specific, you're not talking about black dudes. You was going on the women. The girl, his ex said that there was a tweet. She tweeted out that like she had braids, and when she had braids, she looked like Beanie Siegel. I'm like, yo, this is crazy.
Crazy.
What was the one about the weaving Beyonce? Like how much Indian hair, how much head? They lost in India.
Tweets, like, it was nasty,
and that's the thing.
And why always black women? That's the crazy
talk about
stuff.
it.
You know what I mean?
They made him feel the most. I'm sorry, Moni, but because he dates them, the people that he dated made him feel the most comfortable to make them type of jokes. We gotta do an internal revenue situation within the delegation at the barbecue at the buffet because some of this shit is problematic because we let these niggas feel comfortable.
And right, exactly. That's part of it, y'all. But at the same time, I look at it as you was too pussy to go full racist because you ain't want no scrap with men. You feel what I'm saying? Right. So if you'd have been saying racist shit about men on the timeline, you might have felt like somebody wanted to check you. You felt like you was punching down on the women. You know what I'm saying? And there might have been a few clown women around you that co-signed that mess. But it's all corny all the way around, bro. It is.
And let me stick the landing like this, because I don't got too much more to say, because Sen and Macito covered it. Jokes or otherwise, in 2010, 2011, especially not now, I can't get no Irish jokes off. I can't. Rory Farrell, this nigga is Irish. I couldn't get Irish jokes off in 2000, 2010, 2030, 2050. Like, we can't do that shit to y'all. So why is it sanctioned? In the opposite. Your group of people would feel some type of way. Especially, and for those who don't know, the Irish, you think the Jewish people run New York City? The Irish are a close second in New York City. Let me tell you, if you don't know, do the knowledge.
Yeah.
We can't get shit off about Irish people. You fucking kidding me? So on that and that alone, you should have just apologized. Doubling down and people who know you were stupid. You want to say you was young and dumb? Great. But you should have apologized and kept it pushing. Especially now that you date black women, which means that when you procreate, and I guess his daughter might be half black.
Right.
Imagine some kid talking about her hair in grade school when she's old enough, or middle school or high school. How you gonna handle that, Rory? You was on fucking Twitter joking about that shit. Now you want to get tight? You gotta think about the bigger picture when you get into saying certain shit and how it impacts everything and everyone around you. You know what I mean? Shit is crazy.
It's whack.
Anyway, let's get back to
capes. No capes at the round table.
No capes. Okay? And I think Jermaine L. Johnson said that Jay-Z was the one who co-signed Rory. Nah, y'all forget that Maul's brother is fucking Big some Rockefeller.
Right.
That was his way in.
That's how he got there.
A lot of people forget that. Maul is basically Rockefeller. But anyway, we got a little music to get to before we get up out of this. Instead of rap stop, back to the front of the line, sir.
What's up?
Ransom and Conductor.
Oh, yeah.
Bomaye. We haven't talked about it in the group chat at all. I'm not even asking Mace what he thinks because we know he didn't listen. So Since seeing the rap song, I got some takes, but I want to hear from
man.
you. What do you think about that record?
That record in particular, it was cool. It was cool. I was expecting more of it, having heard the preview of it that they had posted on Twitter, because it felt like the preview that they had posted was kind of like an intro to the song with like no drums, and Ransom was kind of rapping in kind of an unorthodox flow. Not necessarily. It wasn't that the flow was unorthodox. It was just that like not quite in pocket with the instrumental, and so or with the sample, and so I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of an interesting intro. I can't wait for this beat to drop, right? And so it was a preview, so I was like, I bet. So I guess when I listened to the full song, when they actually dropped the full song, the beat's going to drop, the drums are going to come in, and it's going to go crazy because the sample was crazy. And then I heard the song, and it sounded exactly like the preview. And I was like, wow, damn, like no drums at all. Like, and look, not like I'm going to be shocked that Conductor decided to go drumless. But I felt like this specifically needed some drums. I felt like it just needed to be the sample was so fire that it needed to be its best self. You know, like they needed to elevate it to the point where like it warranted what Ransom was doing lyrically. Because again, if there's anything Ransom is gonna do is go in, you know what I mean? Pause. Mm-hmm. But like, if there's anything he's gonna do, it's gonna be black on a record. So he was blacking. It definitely felt like an energy, another level of energy that I feel Ransom needed to get off his chest. You know, we talked about how like on the Primo album, he was definitely, you know, raising the bar a little bit in terms of how he delivers on records. I think with this, he was definitely going in a completely other sort of way where like I was like, oh shit, like I don't think I've heard Ransom have this level of energy on a record in recent years. So I was looking forward for the full whole package, but the whole thing to like really come together, and I felt like it didn't come together by the end. And again, no fault of Ransom, I think the Conductor production should have been elevated to where Ransom was at lyrically, and that was my take on it.
Wow, unexpected turn of events here. I was not expecting Sincere to say that. I love it. It was a pleasant surprise. That's not what I thought when I was, you know, Conductor and Ransom getting together. I thought it was going to be some real gravelly sounding instrumentals with some hard raps and ran as usual. But I like the little semi-double time-ish flow. I like the BPM. I like it was real smooth to me. It almost felt, what's her name? What is his name? The dude who does most of the production for, how am I drawing this blank? I hate when this happens to me when I draw the wild blank. Oh my God. Some from Griselda who had the car accident.
Boldy James.
Boldy. The dude who does a lot of Boldy's productions.
Nicholas Craven.
It kind of felt like a Craven beat to me in a lot of ways. The warmth of the sample, the BPM. I guess because I was expecting the gravelly, darker sounding beat. When I heard this, I was pleasantly surprised, or maybe that's what's carrying it for me. But Ransom is rhyming. You know, I hate this. He sounded like he got better again. I don't want to glaze, but it sounded like he's still like sharpening the ball work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
it definitely does. Like again, like the thing that kept my attention was the fact that he was going in the way that he was.
Right.
And that, like, you know, the double time flow that he was hitting, but also like the strength of his voice, you know what I mean? The way that he was projecting his voice on it, like you could really feel like he's coming, you know, for that spot, you know, the spot that he feels should have been his from a long time ago, and people have not put him in that spot. He's really coming for it.
So let me ask you: Do you were you disappointed because the beat wasn't a gravelly conductor production? Was it that your expectations weren't met, or you really just wasn't rocking with the Sonics on this beat?
No. It's that again, like it felt like there was a buildup to something that didn't really drop.
Ah,
You know what I mean? That and I maybe that was just my own expectation, thinking that there was going to be more there. You know, after hearing the preview on Twitter, in my head, I had already sort of decided, oh, okay, this is the buildup, and then like the drums and the bass are going to drop, and it's going to go crazy, and then
gotcha.
it just never happened. So I was like, oh man, I was like, I needed some drums on this one. Again, I love me some drumless beats. You know what I
That's
mean?
ironic.
I love me some conductor joints without the drums, but like this one, I feel in particular needed some big drums to really bring it home.
Nah, I'm fucking with this, and that's so crazy to me that like, I didn't even feel the need for the. I'm usually the one. Give me some drums, and Cinder's like, nah, I like the loop. You know what I mean? But I like this record, bro. Like again, I came in expecting one, especially coming off. We know how Rand picks his beats, and we know what Conductor's done recently, especially with Rome Streets. I had a certain expectation, and when I heard it, I said, oh, he rapping like that too. Little double time from Ransom. We don't get this often. It was like, oh shit. And I guess maybe he's spacing it out too, because you think about what the Primo project sounded like. He can't give you kind of sonically the same thing back to back, 3 weeks apart, give or take. So maybe this is going to be a bunch of curveballs on this project. I hope so. If this is what it is, I'm looking forward to it. It drops, I think this Friday or this Thursday, November, whatever day November 20th is. The whole project drops that day. So I'm curious to see what Rand is doing. Again, I find it real curious, Ransom, that we waiting on this Nas and Primo, and here you are dropping these projects, muddying the waters, not giving Nas a clear runway for the takeoff. We see
Very
what you're
interesting.
doing, Ram.
Yeah.
Maxito, you can come to the front of the line for this. And if you got anything to add, feel free. West Side Gun and his complaints about WWE.
Right.
He basically said that they kicked him out of a venue recently, or he fell asleep and he got kicked out of a suite. Of course, they pulled the album cover because of, I guess, clearance issues. He's had multiple clearance issues in the past. What are your thoughts on West Side Gun taking it to the internet to complain about his relationship or lack thereof with WWE?
West Side Gun loves to take things to the internet, so I wasn't surprised.
Mm.
But I think it's just it he feels unreciprocated and unrequited in his, what I mean? He obviously is a huge wrestling fan. We can relate to that, job. You know what I mean? So I think he kind of just wants to feel like he's in. He spent a lot of his money on tickets, on aesthetics that show people, you know what I mean, how much he loved wrestling. So I understand to a degree. WWE, you know what I mean, Vince, Hunter, all of those guys, they run their shit, you know what I mean, like a business. So from outside perspective, for me, what it seems like is that once the WWE realized how popular West Side it was and how much money he could be possibly making off of this independently, that's when they put the kibosh. When it just seemed like he was just a super fan that loved it and did that, this, that, and the third. WWE, they want parts. They want a piece of that. You know what I mean? And it's just, I can understand Westside being the fan he is. You know what I mean? I do think he's being a little bit presumptuous when he says he made wrestling cool again. I don't know to who. You know what I'm saying? But I do feel like, like he the references that he did, a lot of us love that shit. But I'm like, listen, you dealing with businesses, bro. You know what I mean? I don't think they treating them any different than they would treat anybody who are using, you know what I mean, wrestling phrases, wrestling photos, you know what I mean, making it a part of their thing. I don't think they pointing out West Side. I think West Side in his mind thinks he deserves special treatment, but I don't think that I don't think they pointing him out and saying, fuck this guy, we gonna let somebody else do it. I think anybody who's making money off it, WWE want a piece. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
Westside did the right thing. He's created his own promotion, very popular. We saw China and Rome performing out there recently,
Mm-hmm.
with his own promotion. That's what you do, and that's where Westside gets the credit, because he's very much even though he may sit and cry for a second, he gonna go make his own way. That's the entire story of his career is not being let in and making what he made out of himself. So it's like it's an unfortunate situation because I'm a fan of both. I'm not gonna stop liking WWE because they did West dirty. I'm sorry, you know what I mean? But that's just how it be sometimes. That's business. But Westside did the right thing and he decided to go do it his own way.
Sincere, were you following this at all?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's unfortunate how it's turned out for West Side Gun, but I can't say that I'm surprised. As Mace just said, business is business, and if there's one thing that we've learned in the past, I don't know, 3-4 decades of WWE / WWF, them motherfuckers is cutthroat. They don't play around. You know what I mean? Like if they think that you are in any way, shape, or form, making any sort of money off of them, or that you are in any way, shape, or form supporting one of their ops, then they're gonna, they're gonna come for you, and that's just the bottom line with them. You know what I mean? Like this is not something new. Like it's unfortunate. Like I wish there could have been a way where somebody that feels so strongly about WWE as West Side Gun does, maybe they could have worked something out, for West Side's sake. I'm sure WWE is like they don't feel the need to, have a West Side Gun on their side. It would have been great for West Side. I think honestly it would have been great for WWE as well. But like we know they don't see it that way, right? Especially when it comes to black people, comes to rap, comes to hip hop. They don't. Like we all know the track record that they have. So it was not surprising, but I do feel like it is unfortunate. We also do have to understand that, West Side Gun was also involved with AEW.
Yeah.
And that's a rival of WWE. Man. That's the ops. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter how big or small of an op they are. Again, the WWE track record is very solidified. So any involvement with a rival, with any sort of op, they're gonna be like, oh, you over there, then you're not with us. Fuck that. He went as far as to I think make a theme song for them.
Yes.
So if he's gonna do all that over there, you think you're gonna come over here and sit in our front row and use pictures of our legendary wrestlers? Now you got another thing coming,
Right.
And again, it's unfortunate because I'm on West Side Gun's side. Like I wish they could have worked something out where even beyond like the album covers, just work something out where they have some sort of partnership and they move forward. You have West Side Gun, in the ring or being like a guest referee or doing the show or something or other. You know what I mean? I wish they could have worked something out. But we know how WWE operates, so we can't be shocked that this is the route that they chose to take. Unfortunately,
you know what, Sen? I'm still gonna make the point I wanted to make, but I forgot about certain angles by way of you just mentioning it. Like, yes, he did do a theme song for the competition. In fact, it was for a wrestler that hadn't long been released from WWE. Three wrestlers, in fact, and he did the theme song for them. But I feel like West Side Gun believes because he spends money and it's good shit. Them tickets ain't cheap, especially in WWE. To be essentially, he sits in the same spot at every show, ringside, and you see him there, iced out with the belt, whatever. He's there. I guess he felt like he's not necessarily part of any competition. He's a neutral party in the wrestling world. But I didn't think of that angle until you just hit it to where, like, yeah, like if he's working directly with the competition. And the competition, unlike WWE, does acknowledge him on the air, then that means that he is, in fact, one of them. So therefore, we have to treat you that way. Right. But my point, that's a great point, William, because I didn't even consider that. My point would be, West Side Gun, for all of this kicking and screaming and complaining that you're doing, I'm willing to be incorrect. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But if you are a known entity, you might not be a mega star. You might not be. I don't know. On the McDonald's scale, I'm a little confused when it comes to West. I'm not 100% sure if he could go. I know in major markets, West Side Gun can't go to McDonald's. But he might have that status where like you can't go to McDonald's in the major markets, but Middle America you might be able to.
Right.
But you're a known guy, you're signed to Rock Nation, you're signed to multiple labels, Fashion Weeks, etc., etc. If you're using anything that's copyrighted material,
Right.
and they strike it, who are you to get mad? So like you're not part of WWE. You're not a collaborator. You are a ticket buying fan. And if you're a ticket buying fan, WWE doesn't owe you anything when it comes to using their copyrighted material. You're using $1 Million Man and Virgin on the cover. You've used audio from old promos from back in the 90s and shit like that on your music. Legally speaking, you can't be surprised.
Sid Vicious, I think. Yeah.
Like you can't be surprised if once they find out that you're a somebody and you're doing this shit for the free ski, that they're not gonna say, "Yo, give us our cut," or else. $1 Million Man is one of the biggest legends of the '80s wrestling takeover. Hulk Hogan was running around here. Like
Right.
$1 Million Man can't go to McDonald's anywhere in America. Anywhere. Virgil Fake can't either. Even if they're not famous today, they're stars of a bygone era. So if you're gonna use a likeness, you can't just get on Twitter and get to crying about it. Pay them niggas.
And that's the thing. Like I'm sure in his mind, you know, and he said, you know, he would say as much. He's like, "Yo, I'm paying homage. Like I really love this shit."
For sure.
I mean, but business is business, man. You can't just like when you get to a certain level, you can't just pay homage that way. You got to go through the proper. Yeah, you got to go through the proper channels to be able to pay homage, man.
You know, so I can't say I feel bad for West, but I am bothered by the fact that he is a somebody. He's done a lot more for wrestling as far as helping it get back to black people in the mainstream vein than niggas that they have on TV. Like they got Jelly Roll doing a whole match. They had Travis Scott in the main event of WrestleMania. You telling me Westside can't get a little love on camera? He can't get a tag team match. He can't walk a nigga to the ring. I just treating him like he a rich fan. I do find that to be disrespectful. So I see both sides of the argument because he's there and the wrestlers know who he is. So they're going out of their way to one, ignore him, and two, disrespect him by removing him from the venue. Competition or otherwise, it's given racial to me. To your point.
Oh, for sure, 100%. And but if you know, it's all in your perspective. Like he should look at this and say, "Yo, shit, I'm big enough now to where that like they see me as some type of threat." You know, that's how he should look at it moving forward. Before all these years before, I used all the pictures for album covers and all the references and sound bites and everything. You know what I mean? Like nobody batted an eye. All of a sudden, it's a problem. It's a problem because I'm big West Side now. You know,
and it shows nowadays how wrestling is being run completely different. Because once upon a time in Vince's heyday, any celebrity that showed WWE attention, Vince was latching on to that. You know what I'm saying? So it just shows that wrestling itself is even different now. Like because lacrosse promotion, even if it's a little bit of a monetary opportunity, WWE should jump on that. You feel what I'm saying? Like I feel like that's dumb on their part.
Yeah,
a loss on their part.
Especially with the black audience.
Right.
Shit me? Like, what are we doing here? You know? Like, it's a lot of black wrestling fans. The thing is, the celebrity blacks that's in the crowd, they be quick to throw the camera on them at the big events. Y'all don't even understand how big of a missed opportunity this is. You know, this guy has a direct line to Jay-Z. You might fuck around and have a Rock Nation sponsored WrestleMania. You just missed out being stupid. You know?
Yeah.
But anyway, let's wrap this up. This
Cena, you got to put him on, bro.
The facts. Cena's not really anyway. But we got to get to the super chat so we can wrap this up. Gmail Talk with the early $10 holler before we was even on the air. Salute to you, brothers. Keep going. Much love, Gmail Talk. Y'all, you support week in and week out. We appreciate you. Derek Matthews, one of Sincere's ops, says, clarification on the mailbag in regards to Scarface. He produces and plays instruments like guitar too. That's why I included them in the Southern production.
Oh, okay. I do understand.
We didn't.
But when have you ever heard me speak ill of Scarface? Even
Salute.
anything close. When have you heard me speak anywhere midway about Scarface? I mean, it's always in the highest of regards. So
thank you, Sin.
Yeah.
Oh, he has more to say, and he put the paper up behind it. Salute Derek Matthews. He's talking to me now. And Job, you know I'm a supporter, not just a viewer. The podcast is only one of you start to finish because y'all keeping music. Peace, guy. Appreciate. You know what? Derek Matthews? I'm gonna bestow something on you that I rarely do here. You are not a bitch ass nigga. You might not have a bitch bone in your body because you heard what we said, and instead of typing some disrespectful paragraph in the comments or getting offended, you put your money up to make sure you were seen, and you explained yourself. Not even explain yourself. You addressed what was said, and you kept it manly. I respect the fuck out of you, Derek Matthews.
Real nigga.
You know what I mean? I wish more people would be like Derek instead of just getting sassy and starting to type paragraphs like AJ, the fucking J. Cole fan and shit, because he can't handle a little criticism of his favorite rapper, unless that in fact is J. Cole himself. But anyway.
Sentiment remains.
There you go. MytholoGic76 says, good stuff today, fellas. As a fellow Texan, it's pretty sad to hear that from Big X. More than likely, he's probably not really of the hip-hop cloth and more likely doesn't value the culture as much. Fair play.
Mm-hmm.
Dre God says, Big SMO, y'all know who that is? Always rep for rap. Just country rap. Who's Big SMO? Y'all know who that is?
Not sure.
Okay.
You gonna have to...
Chat, help us before we wrap up.
Right.
Zone Fanfic says,
and don't be in the chat like, oh, you don't know who Big SMO is? Come on.
Nah. 40
Please
plus.
don't. Please.
40 plus with bills and real life issues.
Oh, well, I mean,
everything.
Maybe we should know Big SMO is, Big Smo is 49 years old.
There you go.
As I'm seeing here.
Big
so
Smo.
All right, cool.
Some white dude. All right, yeah.
Sure. Moving on. Zone Fanfic says, I think Spain tradition like Mejora la Raza affected the Americas and is still present as insecurity in the South in conjunction with American apartheid and anti-blackness. He was there.
You talking next level shit.
You want me to fix
Please.
it up for you? Mejorar la raza. Fix the race. You know what I mean? Better the race.
Oh, that.
Yeah. It's the concept of, procreating with and assimilating more with the white side of things to, better the race, fairer skin, lighter eyes, better hair, so on and so forth. So,
I've heard that, but I never heard it that way. You know what? I'm going to defer to the Hispanic guy on the table for future reference for all things Hispanic pronunciations. Because I can't roll them R's like that. Jermaine L. Johnson says, and Hove literally invited Rory to the cookout. Nah, that was Maul's man's.
Oh, man. I think he was a +1 to the cookout.
He was a +1. Joe and Maul was invited, and they brought Rory, bro.
You feel me?
Cam Porter says, Rory saying that his girl was tweeting is like Nino picking up the kid in the shootout.
Good call.
Touché.
Just as despicable.
Touche. Very despicable.
That's wild.
Very despicable. T-Bag says, Rory the gaslighting, it's old Twitter's fault, ex-girl's fault, chat's fault for taking offense. Needed Maul to pretend Rory was talking about Drake the way he was talking about black women. Facts. Maul did worse than Rory.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Mike H with a $10 holler for the love. Appreciate you, Mike H.
That's the homie right there.
All of the super chats and everyone who stayed until the very end of this stream was a quality podcast from us, if I do say so myself. You know what I mean? No Dini, we missed you. But we're going to wrap this up. So sit and wrap style. Take us home, gang.
Yo, for Job the point guard, Mesito, voice of everything, industry, young people, all of that. You know what I mean? For Dini, who couldn't be here with us, get well soon, man. Hope you feel better. I am Sincere, the Rap Snob, and all of us put together are the Rap Roundtable. We love being with y'all on every Monday night. Live here to talk shit with y'all. Love, hate, and everything in between. We love it all. We are out of here.
Yes, sir.